everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all types of topics related to narcissism. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I would really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. It's a free way you can help me out. And definitely don't forget to leave a comment because I like to read what you have to say. I'm going to begin today's video by asking you this crucial question. Are you watering the weeds in your life or the flowers? A valuable lesson that I learned and want to share with you is this. You are at no one's mercy but your own. I know it doesn't always seem that way, but what so many of us fail to recognize is that we are not powerless and that nothing is going to change in our lives unless we make it happen. In today's video, I'm going to expand on the video I made with Joe on Monday and go a little bit more in depth on how no contact with a narcissist can change your life. Like many of you, I learned about narcissism long after I was already with a narcissist, when the pain became intolerable enough for me to seek answers, only to discover to my horror, but in a weird kind of way a relief because it connected dots to so many things. That not only was I married to a narcissist, I was surrounded by them in my family. Oftentimes, we get involved with narcissists in the first place because that type of behavior is all we know. It's our normal, as messed up as that is. And it's often a shock to people when they first learn about narcissism to learn that narcissists all use the exact same playbook. When you know one, you know them all. There are reasons for that go beyond the scope of this video. But suffice it to say, victims tend to obsessively learn about narcissism, oftentimes to the point of becoming somewhat of an expert on it, and over again recognize how very ununique the narcissist actually is. And it's especially shocking because before we know about narcissism, we tend to feel very alone in our entanglement, in our situation. We're actually far from it though. We victims also will tend to follow up our newfound knowledge by doing the most fruitless thing possible, trying to help the narcissist, also known as changing the narcissist. Because I know if I say what I really believe, that narcissists don't change, I will hear from people who tell me that actually God, Jesus, whoever can change a narcissist. I'll say this. It will be a miracle if your narcissist changes, and I do not, under any circumstances, advise or recommend that you hold on to an entanglement with a narcissist and try to change them. Your life will not improve if you do that. Narcissists are hardcore evil, and that level of evil tends to be a permanent condition. But you can use this very knowledge to water the flowers, not the weeds. There isn't a lot of variety in narcissism. Narcissists destroy the people who love them. They give us PTSD, bankruptcy, eating disorders, alcoholism, trauma, you name it. That same reality that we're all suffering in a similar way also works with how to heal and free ourselves. No contact. It's a standard way that victims who get out begin to heal. No contact has changed my life. When I left my ex on Christmas Eve, I put no contact into effect almost immediately. On the advice of my attorney, I did need to be in email contact initially, but I am now 100% no contact with my ex, and so are my kids. I can breathe, not having to worry about what he's doing next. Before I left, my ex had gotten into this habit, and I don't know why he was doing this. It was very odd. He would text me 2 times every single day. Now, we had no relationship at all. He was stalking me, harassing me, threatening me, scaring me, but he would also send me these texts. So in the morning, he would send me a text that said, "Good morning." And at night, he would send me another text that said, "Good night." Good morning, good night, good morning, good night. And I couldn't stand this. But while I was trying to get everything prepared to leave, I felt like I had to at least sporadically respond to these texts. It was horrible, just the whole situation with my ex. I was afraid all the time. He was stalking me to the point where he had photographs of my mail sent to him from the post office. I know that that sounds nuts, but this is a real service that the post office provides. He was constantly on me. He would randomly show up in the backyard. I never knew what he was going to do. It was absolutely traumatic. It was horrible. My kids were traumatized. If they saw a car, he has a RAV4. That's a pretty common vehicle. Every time my kids saw one, they would freak out. It was a terrible situation. It was so bad. I had to leave, but I couldn't go no contact until I left. Now that I am no contact, it has been transformative for my children and I. Now, I had not initially planned to go no contact with my parents. Now, like I said, a lot of us grow up in narcissistic families, and I was no different. And the thing about a narcissistic family or any dysfunctional family is that everybody in the family has a role put into place by the dysfunctional person or people. And you, under any circumstances, do not deviate from your role. Now, you might be able to rise in the ranks. For example, on my ex's side, my ex-father-in-law and mother-in-law are similar to my father and mother, that it's a narcissistic codependent duo. Now, it is possible, like let's just talk about on my ex's side, my ex-in-laws do not have any daughters, so it's just sons. So for my ex-mother-in-law, it's just she doesn't have any control over anybody until I came into the family. Now, because she's higher in ranks than me, she tells me what to do. So my job was to make her happy, was to make everybody else happy. That was my role. Now, theoretically, when she died, I could have risen in the ranks, and now I become the top codependent. So, because I have a daughter, and maybe I would have daughter-in-laws, I could now control them. I could never control the narcissist, but I might be able to rise in ranks enough to now suddenly have people under me. That's the most, and I mean, and believe me, that is the last thing I would ever want to do. But for somebody like my ex-mother-in-law, I think she got some pleasure out of that. She had two sons. Her other son didn't get married, so it was me. And, my daughter, I guess was kind of connected to that as well. So here she is, she has power over other people. That was the most she could ever have in life. So for me, because I have a daughter and then I also have a son, so maybe he'd get married and I would have two people under me. This is what these families do. So for me, when I left like I did in the middle of the night on Christmas Eve without telling anybody, I broke ranks, and that was not acceptable at all. So when I spoke to my parents, and this was like a day it was actually I guess it was my second full day of freedom, they went crazy. They were so upset by the things that I had done. They took my ex's side. My ex had called them. He had called the police. He was trying to get me arrested. So I had my mother, my father, my ex-father-in-law, my ex-mother-in-law, all against me. And they are like a pack of hyenas, feasting on the codependent, feasting on the person who broke ranks. So I actually shouldn't say codependent because I did used to be a codependent, but I'm happily, thankfully, blessedly an ex-codependent now. But they will never let me leave my role. So for them, it doesn't matter whatever I do. Like I mean, what bigger statement could I have made than I left the narcissist, I moved to another state, I want nothing to do with him anymore. They don't see me that way. They don't look at me as good for her or what made her feel like she had to do that. It's what? No. I'm like a dog that escaped the yard, and that dog best be getting back in the yard. And maybe it's time to beat me as well. That's how they look at things. They really are truly like a pack of hyenas, and they wanted to feast on me. So they were all against me, all of them. Nobody was on my side, including my parents. So my father actually turned me over to the police. The police were looking for me because my ex wanted me to be arrested for kidnapping. So they gave the police my phone number. They didn't have my address, thank God. They put the police in contact with me. There was no loyalty. In fact, my own lawyer said to me, "Why would they do that? This is what you're dealing with." And not only that, they were yelling at me on the phone. They were threatening me. It was horrible. And so here I am in Joe's garage. I'm in Joe's garage talking to my parents because they didn't want my kids to overhear this because I was very upset. And Joe said to me at one point, so I hung up the phone, and Joe's like, "What are you doing? Cut them off. Obviously, they're not on your side. You don't need this in your life. Cut them off." And something clicked in me at that moment. It clicked. All the trauma I had dealt with. And I know I don't talk about my childhood very often on this channel. I had a terrible childhood. Everything from there, it was washing over me like a big tidal wave. And then suddenly it was like the sun was shining, and it was like, what am I doing? So I did. I cut them off right then. I blocked them so they couldn't get in touch with me on the phone. They didn't have my address anyways. So the only thing they had was email. So I did leave my email, and I'll tell you, I've been getting emails from them. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But I immediately blocked them from my life. I wasn't getting calls. My mother is the type of person where she will call you 40, 50 times in a day if you don't answer the phone. So you're not allowed. I wasn't allowed to not answer the phone. She would obsessively call. And then she would leave a ton of messages. This is how she was. So for me to block them on the phone was huge. I wasn't getting these phone calls from them anymore. I've been getting periodic emails from them. Now, not horrible. I've gotten three or four emails. Now, these emails started off where it's never my mother, it's always my father. And he would say something like, "Sharon, it's very concerning not knowing where you are. Get in touch with me right away." Then when it was my birthday, I get this email from them, and it said, "Sharon, we don't know where you are. We'd like to send you a birthday gift, but we just don't have your address. Why don't you go ahead and send us your address?" I mean, really, like, that's the thing. Like, they don't have any thought that you actually might be a thinking person with half a brain in your head. Like, I'm going to send them my address so I can get a birthday gift from them. Then a few days later, and the last email I got from my father was all in caps, and it was emergency. Call me right away, ASAP, text me, get in touch with me right away. I have very important information for you. And I'm talking to Joe about this later. And because I have to tell you, I was not tempted at all to get in touch with them. I'm happy to say that, like, not at all. The freedom I have had in the last month has been incredible. It's been amazing. I've been able to focus on my children, not focus on dealing with people who do not have my best interest at heart, who only want to harass and hurt me and have me get back together with my ex, who want to punish me. I mean, that's really what it is. So I was talking to Joe about my father, why he's sending me these emails, and he said to me, "Sharon, you know what he's doing, don't you? Like, what he's doing is all he wants is to upset you." And that's what it is. Whatever he had to tell me, and it was probably something along the lines of, "Oh, your ex has hired a lawyer. They're going to go after you. They have a private investigator against you," whatever it is. It was something that when I hung up the phone from talking to them, I would be upset. That's what they want. They're not supportive. And Joe had said something that actually changed. This might sound weird just to tell you this, but it's true. It changed my life. It changed my complete thought pattern on my parents. When he said to me, "Sharon, because here's my parents are in contact with my in-laws. They're talking about me. They're agreeing with each other that I am in the wrong. These are my parents. I can't fathom my own daughter." Now, my ex abused me. He abused my children. A lot of you know my story. I've had to have the police come over. He was carted off to a mental hospital. He tried to get me arrested. He lied to the police, filed a false police report against me, saying I abused him when he had actually hurt himself. He was caught outside of my house with a loaded gun. These are serious issues. My parents know about every single one, and they're okay with it. I am not supposed to leave ranks. I married him. That's my problem. They don't want me to get divorced. I don't know why. I guess they don't want it to look bad. I don't know. But I married him. I need to stay with him because that's best for everybody else. What's best for me? What's best for my children? That is inconsequential because my role in my dysfunctional family is to be the doormat. I'm supposed to be the person that makes everybody else happy, and it would make everybody else happy for me to not have left my ex. That's unacceptable. So Joe said to me at one point, "Sharon, if you were my daughter, he's like, there's no way I'd be conspiring against you with the ex-in-laws." He's like, "What I would do, I would say, What the hell did your son do to my daughter? Why would he cause her to have to leave the state like this? And when he said that, it hit me so strongly because I knew he's right. That is how my parents should be. They're my parents. I'm their daughter. Instead, they're conspiring against me. The pack of hyenas is thriving on the chaos. They enjoy this type of chaos. They love drama in their lives. I don't want any drama in my life. I want to raise my children and heal from what has happened. I want to begin. I do. I was going to say I don't, but I do. I do want to begin my life over. I don't want to have to do that. When I left New Hampshire the way I did, that was not an easy decision. That was horrible. It's a horrible thing to have to do. I know my children are going to never forget that. That's something I have to live with because of things other people did. I refuse. I am not going to be somebody that just lets everybody take my life from me. I want my kids to be free. I am determined. Joe and I both, this is something we've spoken about because he's in a similar situation. He's just a man dealing with it, and I'm the woman dealing with it. We want our children, so we have 4 children together. We want our children to be able to, we want to break the chaos, the dysfunction, so that our 4 children can have good lives, so that our boys don't become narcissists, so that, my daughter doesn't become codependent. We want to break the curse. We want to give our family the gift of starting fresh, of not having this chaos in their life. I felt bad because after I had to cut my parents off, I said to my son at one point, I'm sorry that you lost your grandparents in this. And he said to me, it's kind of hard to feel bad about somebody I never had a relationship with to begin with. They know. One thing with my children, I'm thinking about making a video about this next week. One thing about my children is that from the very beginning, I've told my kids what's going on. They are completely aware of what narcissism is. I told them. I didn't tell them every single thing, but I did tell them a lot. I told them what was really going on with my ex, why he was doing the things that he did. And my daughter actually said to me, she's like, you know what? I have never had a moment of feeling like this was my fault or feeling bad about everything because you were honest with me and you told me from the beginning. So just to keep that in mind, just like I said, I'm thinking about doing another video. Kids can thrive if they know what's going on, if they understand it's not their fault, and when they get it. And my kids get it. So they're doing so much better. It's such a relief this last month to have none of this in my life. Because if my parents are still in my life, they'd be calling me all the time, telling me, because they're still talking to my in-laws, my ex-in-laws, oh, this is what they're doing now. This is what they said here. This is what's going on. Oh, your ex is really upset. He wants to do this. All they would do is upset me. That's all that it's ever going to be. The reality is that when there is a narcissist in your life, whether it's your spouse, your family, whoever, they are never going to give you peace. There's never going to be them putting you first, ever. And when I say that, I don't mean that you should be above everybody else all the time. But when you're in crisis, it would be nice, your family should support you. Like, just realistically, that's not how it's ever going to be. They don't care about anybody but themselves. And that's a really sad thing, but that's the truth. So I'll tell you a little bit about no contact. No contact is never seeing the narcissist. No texting, no emailing, no calling, no social media, cutting off also anyone who is friendly with the narcissist. Now, I know that sounds extreme to a lot of people, but when you are dealing with a narcissist, you are dealing with real evil. And until it's completely eradicated from your life, you can't heal. Healing is what you need to do. Narcissism, and those of you connected with a narcissist know what I'm talking about. It covers you, it saturates you. And anybody who is on the narcissist side, like my parents, for example, all that they're going to do is cause you pain and trauma and make it so that you can't heal. Many of us have gone through hell. And the reality is it won't get better until you do what you need to do to heal. Just like you can't be a little bit pregnant, you can't be in a little bit of contact with a narcissist. They will never respect you or let you live in peace. I hope this video has helped. I just really wanted to get across that no contact is not an easy thing. Nothing connected to a narcissist is easy, but getting yourself out of the entanglement, freeing yourself and letting yourself heal has to be done so that you can have the life that you deserve. You don't deserve to be in a situation where you are living in hell every single day, where you're afraid and traumatized and somebody else controls you. You can control your own life. So you got to figure, what are you going to water? The flowers or the weeds? Are you going to give all your power to the narcissist, or are you going to take care of yourself? Please choose yourself. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm so grateful for everybody who follows my channel, watches my videos, supports me. It really, truly, I am grateful for it. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and I will see you on Friday's video. I hope that everybody has a wonderful and blessed day. Goodbye.